Alright trainers, this is TaeganAdventures bringing you another episode of Raid Royale today. Now, we have just gotten past 2 weeks of the Ultra Bonus unlock after GoFest 2020 and now we have made it into the 3rd week of the GoFest Ultra Bonus unlock, bringing Genesect during the Unova week special. This is the first time that Genesect has ever hit the scene in Tier 5 raids in Pokemon Go. It's a new legendary raid boss, or should I say mythical raid boss, because technically Genesect is actually a mythical Pokemon, not a legendary Pokemon. But nevertheless, it is still a new raid boss here in Pokemon Go that I want to go over. It's going to be pretty exciting if you haven't already got your Genesect like me. I didn't really want to pay for the special event story Genesect ticket, or didn't get an EX raid invite for Genesect. Yeah, this is your chance now to get a Genesect in Tier 5 raids with the shiny form available. Its shiny is pretty good looking. I'll put it up right now here. That's the normal form, that's the shiny. And yeah, as you can see, its shiny form is looking pretty lit. So, without further ado, let's just dive right into some spicy info about Genesect here. So, Genesect is a bug and steel type and is weak to only one kind of attacks, really, fire type attacks. So all of the counters to Genesect are going to be fire types. But first, we shall go over Genesect's stats and Movepool, as I always do on every episode of Raid Royale. So Genesect actually has some pretty good stats, almost on par with some of these pseudo-legendary Pokemon here. It has a base attack of 252, a base defense of 199, and a base HP of 174. Its base defense is kind of meh for a mythical Pokemon. It doesn't really stand up when compared to some of the legendary and pseudo-legendary Pokemon, and that means it can be taken down with much fewer people than your typical legendary. I suggest a group size of around 3 to 4 people if you're above level 30, but it can actually theoretically be done with 2 people. Yes, technically duo Genesect raids are possible with the optimal counters powered up to the right level with the right IVs, right movesets, etc. So yeah, if you have the appropriate counters, which I'm going to mention later on in the video, you can definitely try it with 2 people if you're high enough level and have powered up your Pokemon sufficiently. Now Genesect actually comes in 5 different forms here: the normal form, the burn form, the chill form, the douse form, and the shock form. Each of them have different movesets in Pokemon Go, but only the normal form will be released in Tier 5 raids this week. So the normal form gets access to 2-stab fast moves in Metal Claw and Fury Cutter, it gets 2-stab charge moves in Egg Scissor and Magnet Bomb, and it gets Hyper Beam as its coverage move, hitting everything except ghost types. So yeah, pretty useful 3-pronged charge move, bug, steel, normal coverage. Very useful for hitting a lot of things in Pokemon Go. So now on to the counters. What should you bring in on a Genesect raid in Pokemon Go here? So like I said, Genesect is weak to fire type attacks, and all of these counters are actually fire type Pokemon. Some of them fare pretty good and have always been very good. Some of them are newcomers to Pokemon Go. Some of them are not so good, but still pretty decent. So first up, we have a new fire type here on the block, Chandelure. Chandelure is a new Gen 5 Pokemon, and honestly it's a pretty kick-ass fire-type Pokemon here. With the moveset of Fire Spin and Overheat, it actually has really good DPS and TDO. Very good attack stat as well of 271 base attack. It's definitely one of my go-to Gen 5 Pokemon here in Pokemon Go. However, if you don't have a Chandelure at the moment, you can always opt for some other options such as Blaziken with the Community Day moveset of Fire Spin and Blast Burn, or Fire Spin and Blaze Kick. Both of those have really good DPS, but Blaziken unfortunately gets the short end of the stick of having a low defense and HP stat, so it has really bad TDO compared to Chandelure here, but it's still pretty decent on the DPS front, especially when compared side to side with Chandelure. Blaziken actually has really similar DPS to Chandelure, so in my opinion, Blaziken is worth using if you have attended Tortured Community Day and if you don't already have a Chandelure in Pokemon Go, but there are still yet more options here you can use, such as Entei and Moltres, 2 of the legendary fire types here in Pokemon Go that have stuck around since the beginning of the legendaries in Pokemon Go. Entei has the advantage of having a thick HP stat of base 251 base HP, and with the 235 base attack, it is pretty decent as a fire type here in Pokemon Go. It gets a bevy of fire type moves, but the one move we have to go for is Overheat. We've already seen Overheat on Chandelure, so it's no surprise that Overheat on Entei is a beast. Well, Entei is a legendary beast, no pun intended here, but yeah, Entei is pretty good on both the DPS and the TDO front, so Entei is pretty much a substitute for Chandelure if you don't already have one. And just like Entei, Moltres also gets the Overheat charge move, dealing really massive DPS here on Moltres as well. In fact, it has even more DPS than an Entei with Overheat. So Moltres and Entei are your two go-to legendary fire types if you don't already have a Chandelure in Pokemon Go. Alternatively, you can actually use a Heatran. Being a steel type, Heatran resists all of Genesect normal formies moves, the bug moves, the steel moves, and Hyper Beam, all resisted by Heatran. So Heatran will have the really superior TDO here. Really tanky as well with the 213 base defense as well as the 209 base HP, 251 base attack as well as nothing to scoff at. Although it doesn't have the Overheat charge move, it has really similar DPS to a Moltres, which makes it all the more kick-ass. Next up, we have another newcomer in the legendary fire type department, Reshiram. Reshiram has a legendary base 275 attack stat, just like its title suggests, and it also has the best DPS of any fire type Pokemon so far in Pokemon Go, and it has better TDO than even Chandelure himself. If you don't have Chandelure but have Reshiram in Pokemon Go, definitely go for the Reshiram. Make sure that it has maximum attack IVs and power it up as high as you can power it up to, and if you have enough Reshirams at least, yeah, you're all set. And of course, we can't mention fire types without mentioning the OG fire type, Charizard. Charizard has stood the test of time here with the Community Day moveset of Fire Spin and Blast Burn or Ember and Blast Burn. Both of them are really good, especially when paired with the charge move Blast Burn, which is a Community Day move. If you have attended Charizard Community Day in the past or received a Charizard with Blast Burn through a trade, you'll definitely want to use a Blast Burn Charizard against a Genesect here in Pokemon Go. With Charizard being a fire and flying type, it actually quad resists Genesect's bug type moves, so Charizard is definitely one of your premier picks, one of the OG fire types in Pokemon Go, and honestly one of the fan favorites. Slightly inferior to Charizard is Arcanine, or as I like to call it, Arcanine. With the lower base attack than Charizard, as well as lower DPS and TDO, it's kind of like Charizard's little brother, not as potent, but still pretty worthwhile bringing in, especially if you don't have any of the other fire types that I've mentioned before this one. But disclaimer here, Arcanine needs the max attack IV to do well in a Genesect raid, so do not bring a low attack Arcanine in on a Genesect raid here. Now to wrap up the list of counters, let me just give some honorable mentions to a few Pokemon here. First up, we have Infernape. Featured during Community Day in November 2019, Infernape has the Blast Burn charge move, a Community Day exclusive charge move, as well as Fire Spin, a pretty damn good fast move here in Pokemon Go. Honestly, Infernape isn't that great in the TDO front, that's why I'm putting it in the honorable mention list here. Now, next up, we have Magmortar here with the Fire Spin and Fire Punch combination here. Slightly less DPS and TDO than a Blast Burn Infernape, but still has a pretty good attack stat of base 247. Unfortunately, its base defense holds at max. Base 172 is not exactly spectacular in any way. Its base HP of 181 is pretty dang low, lower than Infernape's, so it's not really a recommended pick when going up against the Genesect raid. Definitely use your Reshirams, Chandelures, and Heatrans. If not, you can always fall back on your Blazikens, Enteis, and Moltres. Moltri. I don't know what the plural of Moltres is. And these last two picks are just sympathy picks because even though they don't make the cut for the best fire type attackers in the game, I think they still deserve to be on the list just as honorable mentions. So first up on the sympathy pick list, we have Emboar, held back by its lackluster defense stat of base 127, the lowest base defense of any fire type starter here. Unfortunately, Emboar does not have access to Blast Burn, which would normally be a Community Day exclusive move. Emboar has not received a Community Day yet, so no Blast Burn for Emboar. Yes, it has the base 242 HP stat and the base 235 attack stat. However, base 235 attack isn't quite good enough when compared to the other firefighting types, such as Blaziken and Infernape, which both have higher attack stats than Emboar. So even with a max attack Emboar, it's still not going to cut it as the best fire fire type by DPS. Last but not least, we have Ho-Oh here. Yes, Ho-Oh does have the legendary stats 239 base attack and 244 base defense, and Ho-Oh even has the TDO to back it up too, but Ho-Oh is held back by its lack of access to a fire type fast move. Its only fire type fast move is Hidden Power Fire, if you can even count Hidden Power Fire. Given Hidden Power's very low base power and its strong dependence on IVs, it's basically negligible on Ho-Oh here. Even with the 4 times super effective stab fast move, it is still not enough to bring Ho-Oh up to the rest of the fire type counters on this list. And like I said earlier, it doesn't take many people to defeat Genesect in Pokemon Go. In fact, it can be done with as few as 2 people, but I would recommend 3 to 4 people to take on a Genesect raid in tier 5 raids. Now, if you're wondering what its 100% CPs are, it'll be 1916 for a level 20 Genesect, which is in non-weather boosted conditions, any weather apart from rainy and snowy weather, and it'll be 2395 for a level 25 Genesect, which is in weather boosted conditions, i.e. rainy and snowy. Some of you may be wondering how Genesect fares in the Go Battle League. Unfortunately, Genesect's CP is too high to take part in the Great League, but its CP is just right for it to take part in the Ultra League and Master League, despite only getting access to 3 different types of moves: the Bug moves, the Steel moves, and the Normal type moves. Genesect actually fares pretty well in the Ultra League here. As you can see, it matches up pretty well against Cresselia and Venusaur here, with it being resistant to Venusaur's grass type moves, as well as dealing super effective to Cresselia with Fury Cutter and X-Scissor. It also does super effective to Clefable, with its Magnet Bomb being a steel type move. So it safely deals with 2 of Ultra League's most common threats in Cresselia and Venusaur. However, it still loses to some of Ultra League's most omnipresent Pokemon, such as Giratina Altered Form. As an attacker, Genesect doesn't really fare too well because of its high attack stat compared to its comrades Cresselia. Because of the way CP is calculated in Pokemon Go, it weighs the attack stat much higher than the defense and HP stats. So having a high attack stat in a CP restricted league such as the Ultra League really holds it back here. In the Master League, Genesect actually helps with some key matchups against Togekiss, Dragonite, Mewtwo, and Darkrai. Being a steel type, it actually resists a lot of types such as Fairy, Dragon, Psychic. It doesn't resist Dark, but its bug type attacks are super effective against Darkrai here, a Dark type. Unfortunately, Genesect doesn't fare too well against other steel types. And arguably the most important steel type in the Master League is Dialga. High attack stat, good bulk, good typing, and really good stat moves all contribute to Dialga's success in the Master League. Unfortunately, Genesect doesn't really stand a chance against Dialga, Melmetal, and other steel types found in the Master and Ultra League. So Genesect is kind of like the ugly duckling of the Master League. And until the other 4 forms of Genesect are released in Pokemon Go, we wouldn't really know where Genesect sits in the meta of PvP. So it is really up to Niantic not to disappoint us with Genesect's other 4 forms in Pokemon Go. And speaking of Genesect's 4 other forms, I will be comparing all 5 forms of Genesect in a future video, so be sure to stay tuned for that video. And with any new raid bosses in Pokemon Go, I'll be sure to update you guys should Niantic make any further changes to the raid bosses between right now when I'm recording this video and the time that this video goes up. I'll be sure to keep you guys posted in the comments section or the description under the video. So be sure to read the description or the comments wherever I post the updates in to get the most recent updates on Genesect in Pokemon Go. And with that, I'll be wrapping up today's episode of Raid Royale. Hopefully you learned something today about Genesect. Since Genesect is a new raid boss in Pokemon Go, I wouldn't want anyone to miss out on this opportunity to learn about how to counter Genesect, as well as Genesect and its other forms and the potential in Pokemon Go. Stay tuned for that video because that video will be coming out shortly. So with that, this has been TaeganAdventures. You have just watched Raid Royale, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.